Hello friends, it's Dave here from SaveDex bringing to you another review. This time I will be taking a look at Little Nightmares Complete Edition on the Nintendo Switch. Earlier in December I reviewed a game called Shady Part of Me that was shadow dropped during the Game Awards. That review is linked in the description if you want to check that out, and make sure you subscribe to us if you want to see more from us in the future as well. And why am I mentioning that review? Well, in the comments section I saw a few people saying that it reminded them of a game called Little Nightmares, which was a game that I had heard of before but never paid a whole lot of attention to. But during the big festive sale on the eShop, it had a very nice discount of 75%, from £29.99 down to £7.49, so I thought, why the heck not? So, what is Little Nightmares? That really is the question, as I am still trying to work out what I saw as I played through this game. In essentials, it is a puzzle platformer where you take control of a girl in a yellow coat whose name is Six. You navigate your way through a giant ship, with each area presenting you with puzzles and challenges to pass through. There isn't anything too taxing when it comes to the controls. B is to jump, holding Y is to run, and ZR is to grab. Grabbing can be used for picking things up, pulling or pushing larger objects, and also for climbing. Pressing the A button and you get to use your lighter, which lights things up for you, which is always nice as it can get very dark at times. Six may not move very fast, but she does control very fluidly, and it does feel satisfying to run, jump and climb up areas in quick succession. You'll be navigating your way through the ship, going from room to room. Each time you'll have to work out how to progress. This can range from finding a key or other useful items, to hitting switches to manipulate certain aspects of the room, and there'll be times where you'll need to avoid enemies. Trial and error plays a role in certain places where experimentation is key. I mentioned areas with enemies. These enemies are giant and really creepy. Sometimes you just need to observe them while hidden from view to see their walking patterns so you know when it's safe to progress, and other times you will just have to move and see what they do, and if it goes wrong, then you simply try again from the last checkpoint. I eventually worked out that the best way to avoid this chef is to just make him glitch into the wall. Thankfully, the checkpoints are frequent, pretty much every time you enter a new room. They are a real blessing, as I took quite a lot of deaths during my playthrough, and it was nice to be able to try again without having to retread too much old ground, for the majority of the time. But one of the main problems I had with this game is the loading times. Given that I would take deaths frequently in some areas, as I needed to just keep trying different things to see what works, and a failed attempt meant death in some places, having to sit through the loading screen each time got very frustrating. The times did vary a bit, but they were always between 20 to 30 seconds, even when reloading the same checkpoint multiple times in a row, and when you just want to work out what to do in that particular situation and try several different ideas until you find a solution. Having the control taken away from you for that long after each try can be very aggravating. Precision platforming doesn't play a huge role in this game, as it's more about the puzzle element, but there are a few areas where it is required. These are not the game's strongest aspect and can be a bit detrimental to the experience. I mentioned before that checkpoints are mostly very well placed, but in this example I have here, which was quite early on in the game, each time I missed a jump I would fall to my death. And not only would I have to sit through that loading screen each time, but it would spawn me at the start of the room, and I had to do the long climb back up each time. Between working out where to jump from, jump to, and what angle to swing from each time, this area did try my patience. But for the most part, the game's rooms and puzzles were really well put together, and I had a great time with this game overall. The worlds they created is superb, and the presentation really is the highlight, as you've probably noticed already. You really do feel the scope of the game's world. It isn't just a ship you're on, it's a giant ship, and you really do feel tiny playing this game. You have a side-on view the entire time, looking into each room like it's a diorama, and there is a lot of attention to detail. The atmosphere is perfectly presented for its dark colours and insanely good lighting effects. Maybe a little bit too good at times. I mentioned before that you have a lighter which helps you see better. That really is a blessing, because at times this game gets so dark that I couldn't see much at all. There were moments where I would get stuck, but then eventually find I was supposed to climb up something that I just could not see was there due to how dark it was. I eventually had to turn up the brightness, which probably ruined the effect a bit, which was a shame, but I really can't enjoy a game if I can't see what I'm doing. But other than that, I could not fault the game's presentation at all. The designs on the enemies were incredible, from this weird bandaged guy with freakishly long arms to those chefs I mentioned earlier, but the creepiest one by far is the last one you encounter. I won't spoil it, but those who have played through it will know exactly what I am talking about. The sound can be very minimal at times, with mostly no music and just the general sound effects, but you do get some tense moments created through sound when you get pursued or a storied moment plays out, and the sounds those enemies make are also really freaky as well. Overall, the presentation creates an amazingly frightening atmosphere, and I find these ways of doing a horror game a lot more effective than, say, having a jump scare. As I said earlier, the game costs £29.99 or $29.99, which is on the higher end of things, but is it worth it? Well, the main campaign took me about 4 hours to beat, and it would have been a fair bit quicker if the loading times weren't so long. But you are also getting a second story, as the DLC is included in this version. You take control of a boy this time through a new campaign that acts as a side story to 6's, taking place at the same time but going on a different path. So this does seem to be a very high price for the game's length, but value isn't just in how long the game lasts, it's in the experience as a whole. Just looking at this game, and it's obvious how much work has gone into it and how high the production values are. The presentation is outstanding, the atmosphere they created to put you on edge is such an achievement, the design of the ship, the way the game flows, and the feeling of tension and dread it could make me feel at times makes me appreciate what a fantastic job they did. The only real negatives I can say about this game is that the loading times are too long and at times it was too dark. Everything else I thought was brilliant. I really enjoyed working out the puzzles, and it was a lot of fun exploring this ship, and the climbing always felt satisfying to me. And the use of HD rumble was really well executed as well. If you like puzzle platformers, then this is definitely a good one for the gameplay, and an incredible one for the overall experience. But having said that, I do feel the price is too high, so I was really glad to get this one on sale. If you don't play puzzle platformers and you're looking to try one out, then I would recommend either Limbo or Shady Part of Me over this one at full price, but this is one to definitely add to the wish list. The experience was just too good to pass up. Thank you so much for watching my review. What do you think of this game? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to see more in the future, and check out my review of Shady Part of Me in the description as well if you haven't already. Thank you again everyone, see you in the next one.